our submarine under the ocean surface in Grand Theft Auto 5. And today we are going to explore the sea floor, searching for the many sunken secrets in Grand Theft Auto 5's oceans. I am in my scuba suit, and I have my personal submarine here. So let's descend through the moon pool and begin our journey. There are a variety of interesting secrets to be found in the blue of Grand Theft Auto. So let's speed around for a bit and see what we can find. I will put timestamps for all of the interesting sights we see. So if there's anything in particular you're curious about, you can take a look in the description to see what appears. We are navigating through a small kelp clump here. There's a lot of kelp in GTA's oceans, along with a whole host of sea life. Orcas, dolphins, whales, fish of all kinds, sea stars, sea anemones, crustaceans, all sorts of things. And we will be encountering some of that diverse sea life today. And we do have to be careful because our submarine can only descend so deep before the ocean pressure becomes too dangerous. So I'm skirting the edge of that safe zone here. And I will say, I have a little touch of Thalassophobia. I am somewhat frightened of the ocean. Really, it's any kind of water where I can't see clearly in it. So, as I was recording this gameplay footage to make this video, I found myself getting pretty freaked out a few times. Don't worry, nothing scary happens. But if you're like me, just navigating through this can be a little nerve-wracking. Although I will say, near the end of the video there is something that's actually pretty spooky. But we'll get to that later. So here we have some coral, some fish, seagrass, sea stars, oceans of San Andreas are thriving, filled with all sorts of creatures. And I'll be switching a little bit between third and first person. I'll mostly stick to first person because it's more immersive. But speaking of the sea life, we have a very fun little encounter here. A pod of dolphins. Dolphins are very intelligent, social creatures, and they live in groups. It was very fun bumping into that pod of dolphins. But here is our first underwater site that I want to explore. A crashed cargo plane perched on the edge of an underwater ravine. So let's navigate to the front of the plane and take a look. Get a closer look at the cockpit. The nose of the plane is sheared off, and there is some more wreckage that has tumbled down into the ravine. You can find these metal frames down here, lost in the kelp forest. Some sheets of metal, some of the landing gear, a couple of wheels. The wheels apparently serving for cover for a school of fish. And some more of the frame here. See if I can circle around. So, the underwater secrets in this game, there's quite a variety of them, but many of them are crashed planes of various kinds. So here we have the cockpit itself. Looming up in the distance. Everything underwater takes on a more mysterious tone. The dark, gloomy distance. The emptiness. Sort of, I don't know, almost magical and spooky. But let's go back up to the body of the plane that is trapped on the rocks here. We can see the wreckage that has fallen down, and the body of the plane is hanging right here. Maybe we could even enter it. It's so hollow and inviting for a closer inspection, so I'm which will rise to the surface. And in my scuba suit we can get a closer look, swimming through the interior of the cargo plane. And I'm playing in the online mode of GTA just because it has more tools at my disposal, like this personal submarine. But all of these sites are visible in the campaign mode as well. And in fact, I think the campaign has a couple extra secrets underwater. But I've taken us ahead to another crash site. Here we can see a large jet engine, and that has fallen a far distance from the main body of the plane, so let's navigate through this arch and take a closer look at the main crash site. US. So here we have the tail of the plane, and we can follow this trail of wreckage to hopefully find some more of it, and looming up out of the underwater gloom, we do have some more pieces here. I love these underwater arches that are common in this area. Just find them kind of beautiful. So this looks to me to be a passenger airliner of some kind. You know, some sort of a Boeing 747 or something. This was sort of predicting the future, wasn't it? If it is a Boeing. All the Boeings falling out of the sky. We have a torn up wing here. Have you ever seen that Twilight episode with the gremlin creature on the wing of the plane? And the man looks out of the plane window and he sees it tearing up the wing. But whenever he tries to point it out to somebody else on the plane, the gremlin is vanished. Perhaps that's what happened to this plane. Now let's see if we can find the nose of the plane somewhere. The segments have been somewhat widely dispersed here in the water. But here's another segment. If we descend down, it's leaning down deeper into the ocean. There might be some pieces down at the bottom of this crevice. Oh, never mind, here's the cockpit itself. So let's get up close and take a look through the cockpit windows. are bullet holes in the glass. We'll get out of our submarine again here. And first let's head down here to the bottom of the crevice. Looks like another jet engine down here. And this is one of those sites that I find a little spooky. Just the darkness, lit only by the distant sun. The little bit of light that can penetrate this far underwater. And the flashlight on my scuba suit. I've had this fear of the water for a very long time. One of my earliest memories is of a near drowning experience when I was a child. So I don't know if it sort of stems from that or the fact that I was just never really around the water very much. I did grow up near the ocean. Well, somewhat near the ocean. It was about a 2-hour drive. So I went there sometimes. But I was never really out on the ocean very often, or even lakes or anything for that matter. But anyway, there's I don't know, there's a lot of games where it sort of triggers my water fright. And this is cool. We can swim into the plane here. Can't go anywhere, we can't enter the cockpit, but still fun to be able to enter it. I remember one of my favorite games, The Shadow of the Colossus. It had pitch black water in it, and that always terrified me when I was playing that game as a kid. Just the idea of what could be in that water. Anyway, that about does it for this crash site. So let's move on. It's a beautiful sunset there though, isn't it? Take a moment to appreciate that. The golden red light playing out across the water's surface. So let's see what we have here next. Alright. A lot of debris scattered around. We seem to have come across the ruin of a container ship. And what's funny about this ship is that it seems scaled down quite significantly. The size of it is far too small for what it would be in real life. And the containers, likewise, are much smaller than real cargo containers. So as with our other we can find these cargo containers scattered, rolling down this cliffside. But yeah, just look how small that container is compared to my character's body. But let's go check out the ship itself now. I like all that seaweed floating up on the surface. Gives a cool silhouette when you are swimming upwards. And we can swim into the ship through tears in its hull here. Find more underwater flora growing up from the seafloor. And let's traverse the length of the cargo ship. It is broken over a fairly large area. I can't get over how small it looks. It's just very obviously a significantly scaled down version of the ship. And there are full-scale ships of this type in the GTA harbor. At least one of them anyways. The giant, what is that? Looks like a huge clam thing. I don't know what kind of creature that is. Maybe a coral of some kind, probably. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah. The oceans of GTA 5 have always been quite mysterious and prone to investigation. Indeed, GTA 5 itself overall has provoked much theory, crafting, searching for Easter eggs and secrets and stuff. There's lots of mysteries. Safety first. We found the bridge of the ship here, turned on its side. There's all sorts of unsolved GTA mysteries, and the community has for years been, proposing solutions to mysteries and finding new mysteries and all sorts of stuff. Like, there's a mysterious howl in one of the tunnels, the howl of a wolf. There's all sorts of, UFO occurrences. There are strange, drawings in certain areas. There's unexplained phenomena and locations that seem endowed with mystery and portent. All sorts of stuff in this game. And, that's just somewhat because of how popular the game is. Obviously, GTA 5 needs no introduction. It's, I think the best-selling entertainment product of all time. those records will in turn be smashed when GTA 6 comes out next year. But let's move on from the cargo ship. Yeah, the oceans of GTA though. I was gonna say they just have their fair share of Easter eggs related to those secrets. The GTA mystery hunters have found some stuff in the oceans that tie into various mysteries and, iceberg theory type stuff. Here we have a wreck underwater, and I'm not entirely sure what this is. I'll show you more of the construct here in a bit, but we have this large tube with a hatch that we can swim into, like a submarine or an oil tank or something. Although the hatch doesn't quite look like what I would imagine being on just a storage tank. There is a pipeline that connects to this also. And these are definitely, oil tank storage scaffolds here. It doesn't quite look like a submarine. It has no sort of propulsion or anything, so my guess is that it's some kind of oil related installation. There's a long pipeline here that will swim down the length of, and it breaks apart here. You have to be careful swimming in the oceans because there are deadly sharks that can be quite aggressive in this game, so you have to watch out for those. And I don't actually know if those are in the online mode or not. I didn't encounter any when I was filming this footage, but I know that they did add wildlife to GTA Online, which had been a very long time coming. I mean, wildlife was in the base game, and then the online mode didn't get wildlife until many years later. I don't know when they did that update exactly, because I haven't kept up with GTA Online in recent years. Maybe around, 2021, 2022, something like that. I think it was relatively recently, but probably a couple years at minimum by now. So, here we have an orca, a pair of them actually, and these are very cool animals, killer whales, they're also called. So let's follow this orca for a bit, have our own little David Attenborough nature documentary sort of thing. I love their pattern, their color, their stark black and white color scheme. would you look at this? It seems that our orca friend has led us to a pod of orcas. I actually don't know really much of anything about orcas. If you had asked me before this game where orcas lived, I would not have said California. I thought they lived in more Arctic waters. But apparently they live off the coast of California as well, to some degree. I should say that the state of San Andreas, which GTA 5 takes place in, is based on California. Particularly, the city of Los Angeles and the surrounding area. In the world of GTA 5, they've turned that area into an island. Here we have a Stingray. This is a very short clip here. I mainly just wanted to show off the Stingray because the wreckage here is so dilapidated that it's kind of hard to make anything out, really. I think this was once some kind of container ship, or maybe a large barge or something. I'm not sure. But it is so old, covered in seaweed, and the metal segments have fallen in and collapsed. There's hardly even a skeleton left anymore. But I did want to just show all the points of interest I found, even if they're not, the most fascinating things. Also, I didn't find all of these myself, I should clarify. I found a couple of them, but I ended up using some online maps to point out interesting things in the oceans. And speaking of which, here we have a whale. A whale. And again, I must say, I don't actually know what kind of whale this is. I'm not much of a marine biologist. Is this a humpback whale? I think it's too small to be a blue whale, so my guess is that this is a humpback. But it's very beautiful. See if I can spin around and get it in sight again. I keep on trying to get in front of it so I can get a good look at its face, but it's moving pretty quickly. Of course, whales are, surprisingly not fish. They breathe air. They are mammals. And they, evolutionarily went back into the ocean after life emerged onto the surface. Which is a funny thing to think about. It's just a beautiful creature. It's so incredible to think that we live on the same planet as stuff like this. they're just so prehistoric in a sense. They feel so ancient. They're so large, and it's just amazing. I remember I went on a whale watching trip once in my life. We got on a boat and went out into the ocean to look for some whales. I don't remember what kind we saw, what kind of whale they were. But, yeah, whales are just, they're really amazing. The underwater world, even though I've said that I am a little spooked by it, that I have a little touch of Thalassophobia, I do find it incredibly beautiful, fascinating, and very interesting. I certainly love to watch documentaries about the oceans, nature documentaries, and see all of the strange sea life, especially down in the deepest ocean trenches, far out of the reach of sunlight. You get some very interesting stuff there. Creatures that live in such extreme environments at the very bottom of the ocean. But anyway, here we are at another plane crash. This one seems pretty old compared to the other planes we've seen. It's more covered in slime and plant life, more degraded, more discolored. It's pretty cool. But I will hop out of my submarine here, see if we can get a closer look at some of this. It's a little dark in the ocean right now. The sun has gone down above the surface, so we're getting very little natural light from above. But let's just circle around here, see if we can get some different angles. We have the wing broken there on the left. Yeah, I mean, it's sort of hard to even distinguish this section of the plane from the rocks, the surrounding rocks, because the surface has been so heavily taken over by the ocean. We can look inside again. Fortunately, we don't seem to be encountering any corpses, any skeletons, anything like that, so maybe miraculously all these crashes everybody survived. You would imagine you would see some, well, I don't know, maybe, sorry, it's a little grim, but yeah, maybe the bodies were recovered afterwards, so. We have a chair here, a sea star. Yeah, a piece of the turbine there. Just looking out into the distance, the vague find both so beautiful and somewhat unnerving about the underwater world. But I think that's enough of this crash site. Let's move on and see what else we can see in the oceans. So here we are in a relatively shallow area. It's very well lit by the sun above. And if I recall correctly, this is where we're going to see a skeleton, a large skeleton. Yep, here it is. So this is a whale skeleton, and we'll get a closer look at it here. That giant skull, the rib cage splayed out, the long spine snaking its way across the sand. I like the seaweed caught on the rib bones, hanging like little curtains. It's a beautiful touch. Gives the scene just I don't know, that sort of ineffable, beautiful quality of old bones, reclaimed by the environment. A whale's skull is such an interesting looking thing. It looks kind of like a sea monster, you know. Well, and I mean, sea monster, that's all just it's all definitions, right? I mean, a whale basically is a sea monster. Just a giant, unexpectedly huge creature swimming around in the depths of the ocean. Who wouldn't consider that a sea monster? So here we have the long vertebral spine. And we will see this skeleton again a bit later when I talked about, earlier I mentioned there would be something kind of spooky in this video. Or, you know, spooky to me anyways. You might be made of sterner stuff. It relates to this skeleton. We're going to see this skeleton again in a very different environment. And it's kind of freaky. But yeah, that is the whale skeleton off the coast of San Andreas. It's one of the cooler little secrets for me. I really like this one. Alright, what do we have here? It is very dark, and we are traveling very deep into the ocean. Ah, yes, the UFO, the sunken UFO. So, here we have an alien spaceship sunken deep below the waves off the northern coastline of San Andreas. It is a flying saucer type of UFO. A circular shaped vessel. Let's see if I can get a better angle on this thing instead of just looking out the ocean gloom. So I've hopped out of my submarine here, and we can get a look at this thing in our scuba suit. The UFOs in GTA, there are a handful of them that you can spot flying in the air at various points in the game, little Easter eggs. And this one is just under the water. Seems to have been here for a while, doesn't seem very fresh. Covered in algae and sea scum. But this is one of the cooler secrets underwater. One of the more interesting things to see. It's got some maybe windows on the sides there. Or maybe those are just engine thrusting ports or something. Not sure. Those look like windows. Yeah, it's been here for a while. The seagrass has all claimed it. But that's a pretty cool one. The UFO. The UFO. This is a good look at it. I can't remember the specific triggers for the UFOs in the campaign. I think you have to complete a certain quest, and then you can spot them at certain times, hovering in the air. There seems to be some sort of antenna array here on top. Perhaps sensing equipment or communications equipment. But let's continue on. The Olifantus. The Olifantus. This is a tugboat. A sunken tugboat here. And I think we're going to take a closer look at this one. But if I remember correctly, there's also a somewhat more mysterious secret to be found here as well. And a pretty cool one. I lined up a couple of my favorites here, I guess. With the whale skeleton, and then the UFO, and now this one. But first, we're taking a look at the tugboat, which is, not the most fascinating object we can look at. Still cool to see, though. I like that we have the name of it painted on the back. The Olifantus. It's got a large chunk taken out of the side. Perhaps a collision, or knowing the world of Grand Theft Auto, probably some sort of violent encounter. Shot with an RPG or something. So, I don't know if I can't remember if I cut this out or not, but I tried swimming up to this secret in my scuba suit, but the pressure became too much and it started to kill me, so I had to return and get my submarine. But yeah, it looks like I left this this footage in. Let's see if we can even catch a glimpse of it down here. Very deep down underwater, descending lower and lower and lower. Let's see. Got my eyes peeled. Can I see anything yet? No, it's all just darkness and bubbles and light glittering on the edges of rocks. Alright, here's where I start taking damage and I have to flee for my life. So I'm panic swimming back up to the surface. This is very inadvisable in real life, by the way. You're not supposed to change the depth in which you are underwater so quickly. Otherwise, the dissolved carbon dioxide in your blood comes out of solution and turns into bubbles in your blood vessels. I believe that's the science behind it, although I might be not quite on there. You're not supposed to return to the surface so quickly. Otherwise that happens. That's called the bends. The bends, if you've heard of getting the bends. And it can be deadly. So, I'm just looking for my submersible, which of course returns to the surface whenever I abandon it for a little scuba exploration. But then I'm excited to show you what this particular secret is, because I think it's a pretty cool one. Also, with this video, I'm trying a very up-close whisper, kind of basically sucking on the mic at this point. It's so close to my mouth, so let me know if the sound quality of this whisper is enjoyable for you. I imagine it's not like super different from my normal whispering, but just curious if it works well or not. But anyway, now that we are back in our submersible, we can go back to where I almost died. However, the submersible will also be suffering down here because the crush depth, this secret is past the crush depth. So, we're going to have to be kind of quick checking this one out. Or else we're going to end up like, sorry, that would be a joke in bad taste. I'm not going to say that anyway. Here is the secret. This hatch in the ground. I'm going to have to try to get a quick look at it before our submarine gets blown up, so, or rather imploded, blown in maybe. But yeah, we can see this hatch here, and there is an Easter egg. My understanding is, I haven't verified it myself, but my understanding is there's there's an Easter egg where there's a Morse code tapping happening in that hatch. And it says something like, "Want to go bowling, cousin?" Which is a reference to GTA 4. The hatch itself, I think, is also a reference to the TV show Lost, which I watched back in the day. It was a pretty good show, written by J.J. Abrams. I actually really liked Lost, and I think it's mostly remembered now for being kind of bad, or like not answering its mysteries, raising a lot of questions and then not answering them, or having a bad, unsatisfying ending. I would consider myself a Lost defender. I actually liked the show quite a bit, and I thought it stuck the landing quite well. But anyway, in Lost, there is a major plot point about a hatch. A hatch with a single little window pane like that. So I think the design of the hatch is sort of a reference to Lost. But here we have some more ruins underwater. Some more ruins. This, I believe, is sort of the military dumping ground. There's a lot of military equipment here. Tanks and trucks and stuff like that. I'm not sure what these are. These large boxes. But there should be a tank around here somewhere. There's actually a handful of them, but I just find the one. More kelp rising up in the distance. So, what do you think about GTA 6? You think it's really going to release next year? It was already delayed quite a while from its original release date. I think they delayed it by 6 more months or something. So here we have a truck. And some crates, some ammo boxes, explosive crates. An open container on the back of the truck. And somewhere around here, here we go. Here we have a tank, a military tank. I could not tell you what type of tank this is supposed to be representing, but it's cool to find under here. Of course, you can drive an actual tank in the game in the online mode. That was always a crazy thing when somebody in online would call in their military tank and then start driving around the city causing chaos. Felt like it took half the lobby to get together to take him out. And next up, we are in a new location here. There's another tugboat here, but we're going to pass that one by because we've already looked at a tugboat. The more interesting rising so high up in the air, despite it being very thin. Alright, here we have it. A crop duster. That's what it was. This is a plane used for crop dusting. A biplane attached with, here it is, the sort of sprayer attachment here to dust crops with, that's a good point. What are they? I mean, fertilizer, is it? Or, pesticide or something? Maybe both, depending on, maybe they cycle through, probably pesticides, I would imagine. But anyway, after that biplane, we can take a look at this little site here. This is kind of a fun one. It is just a massive pile of tires. This gargantuan pile of thousands and thousands of tires. They form this huge mound. And I believe, this is just what I read online, but I believe this is a reference to when tires were once used in a failed attempt to build a coral reef. It ended up being the case that the currents in the water actually caught up the tires and would send them hurtling through the water, and they would smash into coral and actually break stuff rather than give a foundation for a new coral reef to be formed. Not to mention, I sort of doubt that all of this rubber would be healthy for the surrounding environment, but I don't know. That maybe I'm just making that up. Just doesn't seem healthy to have, the thousands of pounds of dissolving rubber in the ocean. But maybe this is not even a reference to that. Maybe it's just a fun little thing, just a giant dumping ground of tires. Down the hillside we can find, I think this is pretty cool, they didn't just make a big mound of it, they made it sort of pouring down the nearby hill. And so you can find the tires all the way down the slope. Pretty interesting. They look, I don't know, like a ton of little caves or something. Like a bug nest, like a big hive of creatures. Alright, what do we have next? Oh yes, here we have a submarine. A submarine. This, I believe, is the same model as my Kosatka submarine I showed you earlier, where we started this video. This one, we can see these missile pods are open. This style of submarine, I can't help but always think of that scene in Modern Warfare, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, when you are with Captain Price on a mission, and you go to a nuclear submarine, I think a Russian nuclear submarine, and you're trying to stop the missile launch. But anyway, that's all just because whenever I see a submarine with those missile pods, those little silos on the back, I always think of that scene in Modern Warfare 2, where you're looking at the sub in distance, and who is it? Ghost maybe is shouting out, "The silo doors are open, the silo doors are open." And then Captain Price goes over the comms, he says, "Good, good." Alright, here we have, what is this? Oh, this is one of those, like, steamboats, with the big paddles, the big, water wheel type paddles. You know, the type you see in, going up the, Mississippi River or whatever. Yeah, it has two giant paddle circles on either side, paddle wheels, and in the structure of the boat here you can also see a massive boiler. Let's see if I get it back in view here so you can actually take a look. Apparently I was overcome by the beauty of this, kelp here. But yeah, we've got the large boiler right there, and then one paddle wheel on that side, and then the other paddle wheel on the right. I just feel like a bug is crawling on my head. I don't think there is. Something just tickling my head. Just reaching up to feel around, see if there was a spider on me or something. Anyway. Let's get a closer look down here at this. Yeah, this is a really big boat. Well, actually, I guess thinking about some of the paddle boats I've seen, this isn't unreasonable. It actually seems like maybe a normal size. Yep, there's the big boiler again. It's kind of cool that they put this much effort into all of these sunken treasures in GTA's oceans, because, it's just the kind of thing that, like, nobody is ever gonna see. What percentage of the player base ever actually explores the oceans? I must imagine it's just an absolutely tiny fraction, because there's really not much to do in the oceans. Well, actually, now that I think about it, they did have that whole quest with the collectible submarine parts where you were collecting those pieces everywhere, so I guess you could encounter these things doing something like that, but oh, alright, here's the spooky one, guys. We are way, 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 way out away from the map, very, very far away, deep in the ocean. And can we even see land out here? Maybe just very faintly in the distance. So, this might be a little freaky, but we're gonna go check out something out here in the water, out here in the deep blue. Let's see. Oh, is that a little silhouette in the distance? A shadow emerging in the distance. What is that? That vague, dark blob taking shape. Look at that. It is another whale skeleton. It is that whale skeleton model that we saw earlier. But it is just suspended out here in the middle of nowhere. It's pretty interesting, isn't it? Kind of spooky how it's just floating here. Like it's keeping itself suspended. Like it's alive. Yeah, no, I won't lie. This was one of those parts that when I was recording the footage, I got just a little on edge as I was swimming out here looking for this. So, yeah, this skeleton, I learned about this from a GTA YouTuber. I can't remember his name. It's not like a channel that I really know very well, but I had seen a video about this, and I had been wanting to make a GTA a GTA underwater mysteries video. So I thought that, this would be a great thing to include. According to him, this asset here is here because of the Cayo Perico heist. Like it's sort of preloaded into the map here so that it can be used for the Cayo Perico area. But anyway, I will find that video and link it in the description so you can learn more about it yourself. Oh, you know what his channel name is? Gator Keys. I just remembered. Gator Keys. Gator, like alligator. And then Keys, Keys. Keys. What am I saying? Keys. Key is not a letter. In case you were curious, key is not a letter. Unless you're talking about the Greek alphabet. So anyway, to end this video, I just wanted to tempt my Thalassophobia by just zooming around in my submarine in the dark, trying to go as deep as possible. So we're just going to be navigating the dark abyssal layer of the GTA oceans. Now, of course, this isn't really the abyssal layer, technically, in the sort of marine biology sense or oceanography sense, but for the purposes of GTA, it's as deep as we can get safely, so. And it does get very dark. But I'm just going to cruise around here and I hope you find pleasure in as I was recording this section, every time a new rock or shoal of sand loomed up large in my view screen, I peed my pants a little, so just know that I was freaking out making this. I know there's that game. Well, there's a lot of games like this. Isn't there a game called Thalassophobia? And there's that one, Subnautica. I've never played that, but I bet that would be a real trip for me to try. Subnautica. Yeah, I've seen a little bit of that gameplay. Would probably freak me out too much. Or maybe it would be like exposure therapy or something. I could be a little less freaked out of the ocean. At least until I got eaten by a giant sea serpent, and then it just might make my problems worse, actually. But also, I don't want to exaggerate my fear. I don't have a true phobia. You know, I could get in the ocean. And I have been in the ocean many times, recently in fact. I mean, if I'm close to the shore, it's not a huge deal. But, you know, I think I could go scuba diving. I would be able to handle that. Maybe even in deep water. But I would just say that I'm probably a little more scared of the ocean than the average person. Though then again, I mean, it's like, there's a lot of good reasons to be afraid of the ocean, you know. Undertow and sharks and drowning and all that. Yeah, this is just freaky. All these silhouettes of the environment. The gloom all around. But anyway, ASMR is supposed to be relaxing, and I've been talking about being scared for like 15 minutes now. Then again, I guess anybody who is actually afraid of the ocean like me maybe isn't watching this. But hey, if you are watching this, just know that we're in it together, okay? Anyway, I'm sure when GTA 6 comes out, there will be plenty of secrets to explore in that ocean as well. Maybe I'll have to make a sequel to this video sometime. And actually, I think I would like to make another GTA ASMR video, maybe even a sort of a series. There's a lot of areas that I think would be cool to check out. There's some fun glitch spots. There's also some building interior areas that you can get into, although now that I think about it, a lot of those interiors might have been converted into business locations that you can buy now. But I think it would be fun to do a GTA video where I explore weird off the beaten path locations on the GTA landmass. areas that you can unexpectedly, like, walk around inside of, for instance. Like the Polito Bay chicken factory and stuff like that. I think that would be kind of a fun video to make. And I have spent just a frankly ridiculous amount of time in GTA Online. I don't really play it anymore. I haven't played it in a long time, but back when I did, I ripped it a ton with my friends. Sorry, I'm not commentating on the ocean abyss that we are traveling through at the moment, mainly because it's mostly just spooky, vague, gloomy darkness, so I don't really have anything to say about it. But yeah, let me know if you'd like some more GTA videos. I think I definitely want to make them. And, you know, most of my videos I just kind of do from my own interest. You know, if I'm interested in a certain topic, then I do it. But I do also try to do requests when I can. I've probably mentioned this before, but I have a massive document where I write down every video idea that people comment for me, you know, games they'd like me to check out or whatever it might be. And I write them all down. Of course, I can't promise that I will ever get to any or all of them. But I do like to do them when I can. So, I mean, I think I'm definitely gonna do more GTA videos because this was a fun one to make. Although it was kind of labor intensive because getting all of the underwater footage was a bit of a chore. It takes a long time to navigate that ocean area. But doing stuff on land would probably be a little faster, which would be nice. But yeah, if you want to see more as well, feel free to express your interest, and that will only, you know, give me more incentive to do it. But I think that about wraps up our ocean exploration. So until next time, my friends, thank you for joining me in our oceanic adventure today, where we sought out the sunken